All right, we're at 10 o'clock now. We'll get started. Patrick and I will be leading this session on working the sideline, facilitating discussion. So this will be kind of interactive. Any questions you have, any thoughts, insight that comes up, please don't let us move on without us addressing it. I don't want you to be lost and us not address any questions that you have. So Pat, if you want to say a few things and then I'll introduce myself and then we'll get going.
Yeah, welcome everybody. So look, we have a decent sized group. So please let's make this interactive. I'm okay with unmuting and speaking up at any time. Definitely looking forward to the interaction and glad to be here with you all.
Okay, I'm just going to share a screen over here. All right, we know we sent out, I don't know how many different points, 27 points or something. The reality is we probably can't hit all of this in 30 minutes. So these are just a couple high level things that we're going to talk through. And again, if we have time at the end, if anything comes up, please by all means ask questions and we'll work through it. So I think the biggest one, Pat and I both agreed on this, is keeping the white clear. And that's a two-way conversation between both of us, and that starts at the beginning. If we don't do that, we're going to have problems as the game kind of draws on. And if coaches do end up there, it's probably because we didn't enforce it from the very beginning, the very onset. Communication, we'll talk through these plays and we can break them up, right? We're going to show, I don't know, 10 plays or so, if we can get through all of them. And let's talk pre-snap situations. Let's talk during the live ball, how we're interacting. Dead ball, how we're talking to coaches, how we're talking to each other in those moments, and just kind of working through those situations. Lastly, we're going to talk just briefly on fouls. If we have an opinion, how we're going to share that, what we're going to be doing in enforcements, and then obviously we'll have a lot of film and some discussion to work through. So as long as that sounds okay with everybody, we'll get rolling. Can you guys, Pat, can we see this? Is it up?
Yep.
Perfect.
So as we go through these plays, Nicole and Bruce, if you want to chime in as well, definitely don't hesitate on this, all right?
First couple of plays, we're going to work through a catch, no catch. And these are situations that we're going to be thinking about. Obviously, anytime the ball gets to, I'd say 30, 25, we should be, deep officials should be at the goal line. And I would say as wide as you can get. If there's that G in the back there, kick it out the way. Let's work all the way back to the limit line, especially as we get closer and closer to the goal line.
Also from the start of this play, line of scrimmage at the top, he looks like he does have some congestion to his right, which is the way he's going to move. So we do let him come out, make the signals and all that, but we definitely want to get him back at the time of the snap. So that's part of, we'll get more into that too, but we definitely want to clear that sideline. Formation is good. Line of scrimmage is set, so we're good there.
We have no press, so deep official, what I want us to do is obviously the widest player is our initial responsibility at the top of the numbers there. He's not pressed, bump all the way down to 2. He's not pressed, 3. He's not pressed. Look at the tackle. I mean, situationally, think the game, right? This is 3rd and 10. We're at least going to the line to gain. Chances are they're not going to run the ball here. The first thing that jumps out from a deep perspective here is the goal line is here. And we're moving as this ball is dropping in, as contact is being made off the money line, so to speak. This is something we never, ever, ever want to do, especially movement at the mesh point where the ball is dropping in, sidelines threatened, contacts happening, catch, no catch. We got a lot of things to think about here. So at the same time, let's not make it even harder on ourselves.
Yeah, Dom, let just play through a little bit. So one thing that we try to stress for all of our officials to do is to take ownership. And I will say the deep wing did take ownership on this, but the line of scrimmage official could possibly have an opinion. Back it up a little bit more. Yeah, so when the line of scrimmage official is coming down the field, he might be blocked out by that player right on the pylon to be able to see that hand. So he might not be in the best position right now to tell what he had. But we want him to be able to normally to be able to have an opinion on this. And so he might have an opinion on this. This is really close. And I don't know either way, if it's definite either way, what came down first. Like if there's enough here to overchange this regardless of what the ruling is. So again, just from a line of scrimmage perspective, we want you moving down. We want you to have eyes on this. You might have been blocked out, but we want you to be able to have some type of view on this. If you don't have an opinion, you don't have anything helpful, then you just completely stay out of the conversation on this one. And you might not, because of that player there, have an opinion, but you should be able to view the action here.
In addition to the deep official taking ownership here, one thing that I like that they do, they don't step up to the sideline and cut that line of sight off, to Patrick's point, right? Being able to see and have an opinion from a line of scrimmage perspective. Keep that wide look. I mean, go out on a high school field, a park field, somewhere. You can still see everything you need to see in relation to the foot and the sideline from that far off. There's no need to come up and cut the line of sight off of the line of scrimmage official. Questions on this one? Anyone has any input? Nicole, Bruce, anything you guys want to add? Anything? This offers a stack here, double formation. So we know deep official, we're going to take the widest player. And we do have press here. And what I mean by press is obviously the defender can reach up and just initiate contact on the receiver right away. If we're not looking here initially, we're going to miss it. So we want to be locked in when there's press coverage in a situation.
Yeah, this is a really good tight play, and the deep wing is full ownership of this as well. I do see the line of scrimmage official coming down and chatting with them. So the line of scrimmage official is here, and then he does a great thing because at the time of the action, which would usually be what we refer to as a mesh point, he comes to a stop, which is what we want out of our line of scrimmage officials. Right when there's action, we don't want your head moving. We don't want your head bobbing. We don't want you running. He comes to a stop, and even though he's 17 yards away, he still has a perfect view, and he's able to help on this. And so this is really good mechanics. We don't need to be right up on the play. We just need to be stopped where we can see what's going on, and that's a really good job by the line of scrimmage official here.
These are also perfect mechanics, deep official. You see how wide we are here? Distance is truly going to be our friend in situations like this. We have this play pretty much boxed in the way that we should. We're not moving at the mesh point, the point at which something's happening. This play on the whole is just really officiated very, very well from both the line of scrimmage and the deep official.
Yeah, and not only did he stop, but because they have that whole area cleared out, so he can see. He's not having to worry about cameraman or anything else being in his way. So this is just even pre-snap, I guess, clearing out the area. It's a really good job by the crew. And it's a tight call too.
Pat, this mess is a whole heck of a lot easier said than done, right? I mean, we talk about stopping at the mesh point, but this takes time and training your eyes, football IQ, and you guys aren't going to get it right away. It's going to take a lot of practice to get there. So
yeah,
be prepared for it, though, as JP was talking about earlier. This is the view I was looking for.
yep.
Right, the view of this is exactly what we want both the deep official and line of scrimmage official doing. Obviously, if we can be locked in on where we need to be with our eyes, again, looking down first football. It's the game we're playing, game we're working, feet first, because if use all your senses, right? Especially a deep official. I've heard guys in pregame conversations, conferences talking about, you know what, if I can see the ball, I'll have the ball, you get the, no. We both are going to work feet first and then ball, as well as using all our senses to hear that pop, hands controlling the ball, feet in bounds. As long as we have that, follow the catch all the way to the ground at that point, as long as that ball doesn't squirt out, we're good. Make eye confirmation with each other, slowly kill the clock to buy us a little bit more time. The slower we go, the better we are. As you guys saw, this play takes a little bit of a longer time to develop. We get antsy in situations like that. If we can slow everything down and be comfortable and be prepared to officiate what our eyes just saw, I think we're in a better spot.
Yeah. I agree with you there.
Questions here. I mean, we went through 3 plays, catch, no catch in terms of the sideline. Anything anyone has, and trust me, if you think it's a silly question, ask it, because it might be another question somebody else has as well. Bruce,
Hey, Dom,
Nikki. Yep, go ahead.
Dom, this is Bruce. Do you have a coach's cut on this play right here? A sideline view so we can look at mechanics?
Let's see. It might only be.
If it's only TV cut, that's one thing. This is just a super tough play. You've got a rule on catch, and then we've got to talk about forward progress and where the ball's going, and are we getting this from the front side or the back side? And oh, this is from the replay tape, so you're going to get all the shots. I don't think you'll get a press box shot.
Okay.
Here, but I was just going to try and look at the movements of the line of scrimmage official. You might be able to get it on this shot. I don't know. Let's just see. Yeah, so we're moving a little bit. We like to be stationary on this. You know, if you're going to flow, you're going to flow a little bit early. And then like Dom and Pat said, you know, we've got feet, and then we've got ball, and now we've got line to gain. And the backside official might be able to help us with the line to gain, but this one's going to replay in our world anyway. But we've got to do the best we can to get every part of this right. This is a super, super tough play.
Yep. And as Bruce said, the backside official on this, just because of all the action, you probably have 20 players on the right, on this side of the field. So that's perfect opportunity for you on the backside to to start officiating this play and maybe have an opinion. You wouldn't be able to rule on catch or no catch, but you could probably come down and have an idea of where that ball went out of bounds. And so soft spots, crossfield mechanics are huge. And so, again, you might not be able to nail it perfectly because this is so tight, but I'm big on having an opinion big on offside officials really having input on plays and not ever taking a play off. You can never take a play off, especially when you start to move up.
Right, and not to take it for granted, when you guys talk about backside, offside official, you're talking about the headline judge like all the way across the field, right? I don't know if you got catch, no catch, but if you have a catch, I got a spot for you just in case, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything else anybody has, catch, no catch, before we roll pylon stuff? This is loading a lot quicker today than it was when we did our practice run. But anyway, let's do 8 first. All right, so same thing. Situationally, where are we? 1st and 10. This is a first down play, middle of the 3rd quarter, snapping from the 20. So deep officials were on the goal line pylon. This play is going to develop. We have a short field, right? And what I mean by short field, if the field judge is at the bottom of the screen, the ball is being snapped from the near hash, stuff is going to be on us a lot quicker as opposed to it coming from the far hash, if that makes sense. So again, if we're at the goal line pylon where we should be, we need to be as far back off the field as we can to save ourselves with distance.
Y'all run that one again. Back up a little. So this is where a lot of the, not just sideline catches, but that pylon is where a lot of sideline coordination is required between the deep and short wings on this one. So I think by philosophy, if that play is coming at the pylon and that runner is running along the sideline at all, then the line of scrimmage official will have an opinion and should have an opinion. If you look, the field judge here does look back there. This might be one he could have owned and taken himself. We'll have another play where if that run is coming right at the pylon and not up and down the sideline, then it's really going to be all on the official on the pylon. But again, this field judge here does look back. And if you see the short wing, I guess the line judge here, he does shake his head. He's giving him a nod. Hey, I got him in, I got him in, I got him in. And so it was really quick coordination and it looked really smooth. I don't know if Dom, when you play it back, you can show the head nod and all that. And of course, on film, it looks pretty easy. It looks smooth, but this is happening in real speed. And these are our top athletes. And so this is happening pretty fast.
Point, look, nod, yes, we're good. Right? And people ask all the time, right? Should I point if there's a question as to if the runner steps out of bounds versus gets in, yes or no? I don't care if you point. The bigger thing is to make eye contact and slow yourself down. We said it before, right? The slower we go, the better we will be, the better off we will be, the more mechanically sound we'll be. The worst thing that you can have happen is, right? Field judge, we're going up ringing touchdown and Patrick's coming down, shutting it down at the 3-yard line. You know what I mean? So that just looks really, really bad. If we slow it all the way down, we'll be better. If you don't have a question, if you can, just put your speaker on mute, your microphone on mute. Questions on this one? We'll look at a series of pylon plays and.
Yeah, and if you're a line of scrimmage official and you have him out and you know he's out and the ball hasn't crossed, and then you want to get on your whistle right away. You want to be big on that. You want to get on your whistle. That should be first, and then you come down and you kill it, because that's telling your deep wing that you have him out. But you have to be sure it's not close enough to the goal line inside the one. Inside the one is going to be the deep wing. So, but get on your whistle hard and be big in that situation.
Hey, Pat, on this play, if you watch the line of scrimmage official, I'd much rather have you stop and be stationary at the 10 than trying to roll forward and running to the 7, finishing up at the 7. So if we, this runner's approaching the goal line right now, get stationary. So we'd actually be, let's say, at the 11. Much rather be stationary, looking right down the line at the 11 than trying to keep moving to get to the 7. Getting to the 7 doesn't do us any good here. And I'm cutting into my presentation for this afternoon, but let's see if we can get stationary to make these calls, because we just don't want to be moving here.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think that's going to be a theme, especially for you younger officials. You're going to hear that a lot today, which is probably one of the biggest things you hear. When it's time to make a call and it's at that mesh point, we want you still, and we want you still, we want you still, and be able to read the play. So
This play here, obviously we're snapping inside the 7. So at or inside the 7, deep officials, we're going to the end line now, end line pylons. The other thing that I wanted to talk pre-snap, we have a really, really, really obviously tight formation. Everything's tight here. If for whatever reason, whether it's the offense or defense, I want to talk just briefly about timeouts. If you have a coach bearing down the sideline, don't lock in too hard at the snap, especially as deep, because we want to be mindful if a coach is looking to call a timeout as well, especially if the play clock is rolling all the way down, right? So just something else to add into your toolbox in terms of working these plays where we're really close inside the red zone.
yeah, so as a line of scrimmage official, just back up to where the play's coming toward the line of scrimmage official, Dom. So I think most of us, well, if we've come through the COC, then we've worked Bowling Green, and so this is something that we can't have on any field. Actually, we got to clear that space out behind the goal line, specifically anywhere closer to the goal line. We really need all of that stuff cleared out. So this shouldn't happen. If there were plays further up where the deep wing was on the pylon, he should have cleared it out, and all that probably should have been cleared out pregame. But it definitely, we should never be in a situation where we're backing out and we're running into signs and stuff. So that's a major no-no.
And we're not even talking like magic mechanics here, right? We're talking self-preservation and keeping ourselves alive at this situations like this.
Yep.
Deep official, again, we look like we want to go somewhere. And I get it, right? A lot of times when plays are slower to develop, we feel like we're useless, just standing there doing nothing. The best thing you can do is stand there and do nothing, right? If we can look pretty much straight down the sideline over the pylon and help with the runner, number 3 in this situation, getting that ball inside versus over versus outside the pylon, we're not going to rule as to if he's out of bounds or not. But in the line of scrimmage, officials never going to look at us and say, hey, where'd you have the ball? They're going to own it to that point where we're as deep, so not catch, no catch. We were owning it, right? Line of scrimmage one, but we could offer information after the fact and just say, hey, just so you know, that ball was outside the goal line pylon. I don't know if you had goal line extended, but just offer it up, right?
Hey, Dom, don't ever feel like the deep wings are useless. Just because the line of scrimmage people do all the work, don't feel like you guys are useless, okay? You got to break that habit, okay?
Thank you, Bruce. Well put. We opened right up to that one. Any questions on this one? All right, so we got pylons knocked out. We're ready to work them, right? Because we got one more. Let's talk through this last play on pylon stuff. We got 5 more minutes. Let's breeze through this one.
Oh yeah, this is a tough one.
So since Bruce says that deep officials don't do anything, we got to work on this one, right? Look at this play. Look at our initial responsibility. It's the wide receiver that's pressed on the bottom of the screen. We're obviously watching the block. We're not ball watching in situations like this. So if we can just take a look at this block, work the progression of this play. Right, and I think we get a little hung up on that block, whether it's a hold or not. That's not the purpose of this discussion. For what it's worth, I do think it's a hold, dip shoulders and everything else like that, turn the defender. But make sure every time we're looking back to line of scrimmage partner to confirm whether he's in bounds or not. Maybe we can rule on it. But again, just go slower. When in doubt, always look back and take that extra time.
Yep.
Hey, Dom, it's Sam.
What's up,
Hey,
Sam?
real quick, could you talk about briefly the transition between identifying hold, no hold, and then moving to the pylon to go up with that? Because it's not, it can be very difficult to officiate that type of play. Could you speak on that real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Before Dom
So
gets started, I think the deep wing, he might have just gone up without looking for help on this if he wasn't processing that hold. Because the play kind of comes out the pylon, it's not running up. And this is one where they teach ownership. So yeah, Dom, it'll be good for you to address that. I think that hold really caught his attention. And so looking back kind of gave him a little bit of comfort before making a call.
hands on the outside of the frame, double hook outside, basically. That's an indicator for us. We're still processing it. If you have some sort of shoulder dip, something taken away from that defender, you have enough. Now it's risen to the level of, you had an indicator, now you have material restriction, that rises to the level now of offensive hold, right? So whether you do or don't, make a decision right away. And when you feel this runner right on top the goal line pylon, you need to transition to the runner almost immediately, people to people right away, and make a determination. Now, I will say this, if you do call this offensive holding, yet the result of the play in the college game is a touchdown. Again, hear what I'm saying, right? You got offensive holding by the offense. Result of the play is a touchdown. You, as the covering official, know for a fact the touchdown is not going to stay because of the OH. We're not going up for a touchdown. We're just simply killing the clock. Well, obviously our flag is out. We're killing the clock, blowing our whistle, giving a nice preliminary holding offense, give the number, and report that to the referee. As opposed to, you ruled that we do not have holding in this situation, and the result of the play is a touchdown. In that case, obviously we're going up with a touchdown. Sam, does that answer your question?
Absolutely.
Pat, we good here?
Yep. So Dom, I think we got 2 minutes. I know we had some sideline warning, sideline plays. I don't know if we should just open up for questions. Maybe hit one. We can see if there's questions. If there's not questions, we'll do one sideline play.
Okay, that works. Anything you guys have? Any questions?
Yes, this is Carmen Williams. I have a question for you.
Hey, Carmen.
Hi, I'm a new short wing official and coming up from four-man mechanics. As I transition to the goal line, especially on the field side or the boundary side, my first step should be in once we get inside the 10, correct? Or am I still waiting on the play to develop? And if it's to my side, I'm waiting on the play to develop. I keep all the action in front of me. And as I'm watching the play develop, then I look down to the field judge for communication purposes, correct?
Yeah, Carmen, if I understand your question correctly, you because you'll have 7 men on your crew now, 7 or 8. And so you will have someone at that pylon. And so I think Bruce hit on this earlier. There's no rush for you to, or there's no need for you to get too close to that pylon, right? And because you do have coverage. Technically, I think you have up until, I think the deep wing picks up from the 1 inside. So you'll need to be able to get the spot up until the 1. So you just need to be able to stay back, stay relaxed, cover that play, and then read if the spot, if the runner's down outside the one, then you need to slowly move down and get that spot.
Okay,
But
thank
yeah,
you.
so yeah, staying back, relaxing, or look, being active, but yet looking relaxed is the key, one of the keys. So, and you do have help on the pylon.
Thank you.
We're at 10:30 now. Phil, you still in here?
I'm still here. So we go ahead and take a 9-minute break, and we come back. Click the link for your position breakout room.
Perfect.
right.
Thank you.
Yeah, and
Well-
I think Dom has sent an email to most of you, or if not, we can get an email out again. If you have any questions for us, or you want to do some more film review later, we can set up some sessions and time and go over more material with you. Thanks, Bruce, too, for helping out on this. Thanks for everyone who joined.
Big time. Thank you. I'll hang out for a little bit in case anybody has any questions. If it's line of scrimmage, like if Pat, you got to drop, I can field any questions and we'll circle back. But I'll be here for a little bit in case you guys need anything. More importantly, thanks for your time and thanks for what you do to a great game of football.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Dom and Pat. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Mr. Pender, this is Carmen Williams. I have a question for you.
Did you call me Mr. Pender?
I'm sorry. It's totally out of respect. No,
No, I get it. I get it. I'm only messing with you. Go ahead.
Okay, so as I'm transitioning and I'm becoming a better college official, in my aspirations, one of the hardest things for me to do is to relinquish responsibility for the downfield calls and being more intentional with how I move. And in my current level of officiating, we're responsible for a lot more. So is that a difficult transition to relinquish that responsibility, even though I still want to see more in order to be able to help out when the questions are, I guess, posed in terms of calls or whether or not it was accurate. But for me, I'm trying to make sure that I get it right and I'm moving with intention, not seeming anxious, but also trying to make sure that I stay in my lane. So
That's a phenomenal question. And I'll try my best to unpack it because I think there's multiple layers to it. To your point, in working 4 official mechanics, moving up to 7 or 8 official mechanics, 8 including a center judge, the hardest thing to do is because you do so much working without a deep official. Now you need to figure out how to trust the deep official. Plus, a deep official may not know what they're doing back there as opposed to just being there, right? So there's multiple layers to it. So you need to almost relinquish some and give them some, right? They need to take more responsibility at the same time. We need to meet kind of somewhere in the middle, so to speak, which is a lot easier said than done. Less is more. If you can continue to remind yourself specifically from a line of scrimmage perspective, less is more, I think you'll be better off. But at the same time, deep officials, we need to latch on to the right mentors and figure out where we can help our line of scrimmage be better officials and be able to interject when we need to interject without doing too much, right? Because the easy thing to do is go from doing not necessarily understanding the mechanics or the philosophy of a deep official, and now trying to do too much. Now I'm your field judge, right? And I'm taking your spots now. Well, what am I doing? The game is not, it's supposed to be, and we have a guy out east this way, right? He talks about the dance, the choreography of working the college football game, right? There's ebbs and flows. There's things that I should be doing versus things that I shouldn't be doing. I know that this is a really long roundabout way to explain it, but I hope it's really helpful. Yes, to answer your question specifically, yeah, relinquish some, but at the same time, your deep official needs to give a little bit more at the same time when appropriate. I think JP talked about, and I was taking notes, right? He talked about dominating detail with appropriate habits, right? He talked about that, dominating preparation with appropriate detail and appropriate habits. I think that fits the mantra of the exact question you asked. And it goes back to mechanically, as a field judge, what should I be doing more? Mechanically, as a line judge, what more could I be doing? Right? I hope that answers your question. And if it doesn't, please, by all means, push me a little bit further. And I want to be able to help you get where you got to go.
Oh no, that's absolutely helpful. In my conference, we talk a lot about nonverbal communications, and typically with me, with my sideline being a short wing in high school, when I have a long play, I don't give the goal line signal. I look and communicate with the back judge as they are transitioning, and I give that. So it's very helpful to know that my deep wing will now become my sideline back judge, if that helps communication wise for anybody that may be transitioning, because that look helps them to understand that yes, we're good all the way down the sideline. You can make the call. And I'm I guess until you said it right now, that's when it clicked that that's where my parallel comes from. Even though I don't have a deep wing, I don't have a field judge, I still have that same nonverbal communication that I'm responsible for, and that responsibility of knowing that someone else is down there besides just me.
That's a
So,
great approach.
yes,
That's a great approach
you.
and a great transition. Really good approach to it.
thank you.
Mention head nods, goal line communication in the chat. What other pregame topics, points of emphasis are you having with your sideline partner? The bigger ones are catch, no catch, going slow, communicating, looking for coaches, keeping the white clear. I know it's a whole bunch that I'm going through. There's some in that email that Pat and I sent out, but just off the top of my head, the biggest one I think is going slow, finishing the process of the catch when that receiver's going to the ground, making sure the ball doesn't pop out, stopping the clock, even if we're not sure if we have feet in bounds versus out of bounds, ball popping out. I think if we just stop the clock, that's okay prior to just signaling incomplete or doing something else, right? We can always come together and have a conversation. The slower we go, the better we are.
Hey, Dom, means good stuff. Don't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead.
Leave the meeting to go to the next one.
Perfect. Do your thing. Anything else? Shoot us an email, shoot us a text, whatever. Thanks, Philly Phil.
Thank you.
I'll talk to you. Thanks again, guys.